Welcome to the Sports Lounge. Each and every week at this time, we go behind the scenes of sports. Give you the politics of sport, what's happening in the world of sports. I'm Michael Horn, but the real star of our show is a gentleman that I like to call Sultan. I've called him that so often that it's kind of stuck. He's the Sultan of safeties. He had 2 safeties in one NFL game in the same quarter. He's the all-pro defensive end, the acting legend, Fred Dreyer.
Thank you so much, Mike Horn, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And
I do the show with you every week, Mr. Dreyer.
I know. Well, it gets foggy sometimes.
I'm sure it does.
I'm looking at my notes here like I always do.
Yeah.
And we are heard in Peru, Ireland, the Netherlands. We are all around the world. We're in Eastern Europe. We're in. And I honestly believe I keep telling the story. Maybe one of these days I'll repeat the story again. When I was in Israel in 1986.
Yes.
At the Well of Mary.
Yes.
I was down there taking a look around at the well. And when I came up out of the Well of Mary, came back to the parking lot, and as I walked back through the church, I looked out and I saw this massive amount of Islamic kids chanting, Hunta, Hunta, Hunta,
Hunta,
Hunta,
Hunta, Hunta. Obviously, it was some kind of
with
festival,
a Jersey accent. It was really funny.
Festival of maybe.
It was a chant, and so that convinced me.
They were going for doves.
No,
What?
Convinced me that Yasser Arafat was a Hunter fan.
Really? And they
Of
would
course.
say Hunta because you, of course, the legendary
We were
star.
syndicated around the world for
Exactly.
9,000 countries, and
Exactly.
just same with our show right now. It's starting to pick up. We're going to go back around the world again with a new product called the Fred Dreyer Mike Horn Sports Lounge. And in Peru, Ireland, and the Netherlands, we thank you people. We thank the people who are listening here in the States as well.
That's good. So they may start shouting Hunta again.
And I do respond to that.
That's good. I know. I usually shout that just before you come to this. Hunta.
Well,
Hunta,
I
Hunta.
must say that I started running when I first heard it, but then I slowed down and
Let's do it.
signed some kafirs.
Follow Fred on Twitter, Fred_Dreyer. You can follow him on Facebook.com/The Real Fred Dreyer. You can email him, FredDreyer@CRNTalk.com. And go to his new website where he's got his new movie, Highway 395, FredDreyer.co, FredDreyer.co. And that'll take care of it there for you.
All right. Very nice.
And so we got a lot to talk about today. A lot of football news. We've got a lot of baseball news. Have you been into the new baseball season? It's been kind of interesting.
We're like 5 games in, 4 games in, 3 games in.
No more than that. We've got a week or so under our belt here.
Yeah. And, it's, I don't know. I think it's going to be a very bland year, it looks like.
Why do you think bland? I think
because I think good teams show themselves early,
right.
And poor teams also show themselves.
See, I used to think that too, but injury comes along and things change and teams get hot and teams get cold, and
But let me ask you, do you think that inherently that a bad team will get better because someone gets hurt?
No. I don't think a bad team will get better that someone gets hurt. Although you never can tell. They bring somebody up from the minors, and all of a sudden the guy takes off. Look at Cody Bellinger came.
Well,
on
yeah,
the
but
Dodgers.
he was on a terrific team.
Look at Judge on the Yankees, and all this kind of came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden
but those teams are laden with talent, and I still think that there's some teams that you don't know yet if they're going to take off or not until they do, and when they do, then you say, "Oh yeah, I knew it all the time."
Yeah, you can't get into a rut too. You get into a rut early, it's kind of tougher to dig out of it. So you got to kind of level it off. It's tough. The manager's got to be ready to go from the get-go just to kind of get their team motivated.
Well, managing is where it's at.
We'll talk about that on the show. Stay with us straight ahead. The Sports Lounge. I'm Michael Horn. That's Fred Dreyer. We are back in the Sports Lounge. We being yours truly, Michael Horn. The star of our show is Fred Dreyer, the all-pro defensive end, the guy who scored 2 safeties in 1 game in the same quarter, the acting legend from Hunter. He's got his movie's coming out here this summertime, isn't it?
What's that?
Your new movie coming out.
Oh, you mean the what's the name of the movie? What did I do?
Headhunters, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, it's going to come out sometime.
We got a whole big film coming out for you, and your movie on your website is
Transformers. I believe
Transformers, the movie that's coming out this summer. But you've also got your movie that you put together that's on your website at FredDryer.com.
Yes, FredDryer.com.
Highway 395.
Highway 395.
Yeah, so that's going to be good. All right, we're talking about baseball, and the season's just getting underway. And you mentioned a bad team probably isn't going to get better, but then you never can tell. Because here's my thought for you.
Right.
Survey is out now, and they talked about fans, and the fans think that every single Major League Baseball manager is bad at using his bullpen. They say if you're a passionate fan on a particular ball team, good ball club, any baseball team, it seems, probably a good bet you believe your favorite team's manager is terrible at knowing when to call on his various relief pitchers.
I agree with that. I think the key to a team is how the manager and the front office handle their bullpen. The Dodgers last year, just coincidentally, happened to be the best at it.
They were very good.
Up
until the World Series.
Yes, and then
the choice of Hugh Darvish, but that's I'm an armchair quarterback, and you can't do that now.
Yes, that's true, but that was a glaring mistake.
Yeah, now it is. But
it was
at the
a glaring mistake.
You thought that maybe the motivation would be, I'm going to show these guys. They were making fun of me. They were making fun of my cultural background.
No.
I'm going to go out there. It didn't happen.
You can't throw the ball over the plate to good teams like that.
What is Darvish's ERA right now? Is it still up
17?
To 10?
I think.
It was
17.
10. It was 10. Now, here's the thing, because I want to continue with this. There was a guy who was up for the Dodgers managing job before they hired Dave Roberts. His name was Gabe Kapler. Seemed like a good guy, worked in the minor leagues. He's taken over the Phillies. That's a tough town to take over. They'll give you the raspberries if there's a problem.
What was that?
And I think they'll give you the raspberries. Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Yep.
18 in the first series, the first 3 games or something, he made 18 pitching changes.
Oh, God. How many pitches does he have? 30?
Well, here's the thing. Baseball is driven these days by metrics, like you're a better right-hander against this batter.
Oh, matchups.
The matchups, and the metrics that they look at, all
terrible.
These figures that a computer has spit out for you. And I think that there's something to that. Sometimes you got to go by the gut feel because, today you got an upset stomach, I don't, so let me go out there and I'm going to throw a shutout where you might be a little weak.
Well, it does. It takes the gut feel and the collection of years of managerial playing, coaching, front office activity, and makes that secondary to mathematical equations.
Whatever you just said, I would agree.
Well, it is.
It's true.
You take away the life's experience of a manager and you force him into understanding, well, now we have to understand now, just a second, now we got to have the new book, got to have a new book in the dugout and a new little short ink pen, one of those space-age pens that don't skip when they're upside down. One of those pens, and you have to figure all this stuff out. So some guy will come over and say, you really ought to use Barney here in the bottom of the 7th against this guy.
He owns this guy. He strikes him out all the time.
He went to high school with him and owns him.
So here's the thing. In the World Series, that's a good example. Houston Astros world champions, Game 7 against the Dodgers. And earlier on in the Game 3 or 4 or whatever, when Yu Darvish pitched, he was tipping his pitches. Now, if I don't know that he's tipping his pitches, and I do know as a manager that the Houston Astros are making fun of his Japanese heritage and doing slant eyes at him and all this kind of stuff from the dugout, then my style of managing, I would have brought him in. I would have said, look, you're going to let these guys make fun of you and do slant eyes and all that? Are you going to go out there and just mow these guys down?
That's not going to work on him.
But he was tipping his pitches, so that was the problem.
Yes, that's correct.
They were knowing that the fastball was coming.
But see, I heard that argument, and okay, he's tipping his pitches.
That's the way I'd manage.
And he's been known to do that.
Yes.
And all. Okay, fine. But here's the other thing. I could tell you. Here comes the fastball. Sandy Koufax was the perfect example of this. 65 World Series. He had no curveball. All he had was a fastball. He had it from the second inning through the
curveball was not working.
He had no other pitch except a 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
So he told the Twins, "I'm going to throw you a fastball every time." And he shuts them out 2-0.
Yeah.
So, it's one thing to know what's coming. It's another thing to be able to have complete control of your pitches. And that's what Darvish didn't have.
Feedback, control, placement of the pitch.
That's right. He didn't know how or couldn't execute throwing the ball where he wanted it. Every pitch, I think he's going to throw a curveball. Well, okay, fine, but the curveball is going to be over the center of the plate.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. You go to this thing, and it's the placement of the ball. I've seen a lot of relief pitchers come out, or a lot of starting pitchers, and they'll go, oh, wow, look at he's throwing 96. Ooh, that was 98. Yeah. But if he throws it right over the center of the plate, you just swing for the sweet spot.
These guys can get around on anything.
Yes.
And the other thing else is, here's my gripe. I would like to have a conversation and know from a manager, like when before the game, after the World Series 7 was over with and they got hammered,
Game 7, yeah,
and they lost the game. I want to know from Dave Roberts, what was his bullpen session like?
Before he came into the game.
Was he hitting his spots in the bullpen session?
Yeah, there you go.
Was he not hitting them? I mean,
that's good. That's a good point.
I want to understand
that's a new demographic
what the instrument was. And the other thing else is, when a coach comes out, when the manager comes out to the mound to talk about a guy who's having a tough time, I never see them ask the catcher, "What's this guy doing? Is he able to hit your spots? Tell me if I should take this guy out or not." He's not going to ask him that, but he's going to tell him, "Give me the reason that this you have faith in this guy," instead of just saying, "Yeah, let's keep him in, Skip," because he'll say, Tommy Lasorda would say, "I don't want to hear from you, you, or you. You're either going to do it or I'm going to pull you out of the game." And so,
right.
And if you don't do it, he's going to come out and he's going to signal for the relief pitcher to come out of the bullpen as soon as he steps up on the top step. Did you know how a lot of pitchers really get pissed off at a manager who comes out and has already made his mind up
before he's talked to him?
Before he talks to him, that's a big deal in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and I don't think I would manage that way. I'd still go out and talk to him because I'd want to hear what's inside.
Not unless you're pissed off at him.
If you're ticked at him, yeah, then no problem. I'd go out there and take him out.
If
you lie to me.
You're going to go out there and bring your interpreter out there and say, "Could you ask him not to throw the ball over the plate?" I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
And he said, okay, I want to know.
Okay, I got it. The interpreter.
You don't want me to do that?
No, that's all right. It's all right.
You don't want me to?
Don't need any letters coming in from
it's a joke.
College students or anything.
It's a joke.
I got it. I totally get it there. So I agree with you. I think that's I don't know what it is, but I do believe that this is well, in fact, when we come back, this is what fans are thinking. Gabe Kapler now on the Phillies.
Guy.
18 pitching changes in the first 3 games. That's an awful lot of pitching changes.
That's too much.
You don't have that tells your pitching staff that you don't have any faith in them, for God's sake.
That's completely too much.
At some point, you got to go out there and say,
changes.
"Dryer, I'm in trouble. I need you to give me at least 2 innings. Can you do it? Can you get me 2 innings?
How about 2 pitches?"
Yeah,
that's
Dryer.
Gabe Kapler.
No.
That's Gabe Kapler.
He's a 2-pitch guy.
Who comes out and he wants to show that in his interview, when they asked him about dynamics of mathematical equations and how do you coach and how do you manage, he has to be able now to back it up.
We'll
watch
be right
when
back.
the league starts, just watch what happens.
We've got more. Back in the Sports Lounge, Michael Horn, Fred Dryer, glad to have you with us. We're talking about baseball, and here in just a short week or so, we've had the National League, American League out there, and Major League Baseball back in session. The fans are thinking every single Major League Baseball umpire is bad at using his bullpen. And we mentioned the example, like Gabe Kapler, 18 pitching changes in the first series that the Phillies face. He's the Phillies manager. Here's the thing.
Were they in Miami?
Yeah, I used to be on the KRLA softball team, and Cousin Wally used to be our starting pitcher, and we played some team. We do it for charity, and they were teeing off on Cousin Wally. He'd throw that slow arc, slow pitch there, softball, a high arc, and they were just timing it and smacking it.
Huh.
And I was the manager playing first base, and Wally calls me over to the mound, and he goes, "Michael, can you talk like this? Michael, can you come over here?" And Wally was a judge, a Superior Court judge, but nobody knew it. He was always in a disguise. No, he had like a hayseed kind of demeanor about him, so nobody would know he's in a disguise. And Michael, come here. And he brought Jim Rupin from third. And Jim, bring Jim over here. He says, "I got an idea." And his glasses would fall, and he'd push him back out. Michael, here's what I'm thinking. I'll throw a couple, then you take me out and bring in Jim in. He'll throw a couple. And you take him out and bring me in. I'll throw a couple, and we'll confuse him. This is metrics. Wally was ahead of himself out there. 2 pitches and then changing it.
Did he have a job of responsibility?
I told you he was the Superior Court judge in Los Angeles.
Oh, God.
But a heck of a he was just having a bad day on the mound that day. He was ahead of his time here because here's what's going on. Here's the fact. There's a site, a sports site called For the Wins, and their research shows that fans of all 30 Major League Baseball teams think their team's manager is bad at using their bullpen. Sports writers are saying it's probably the product of increased specialization in bullpens. You know, the metrics. I got my situational lefty and I got this. So more managerial decisions mean more decisions that can be doubled when they're made than criticized in hindsight. And this is a problem with Major League Baseball.
All right. Now, this is really interesting you're bringing this up because what we're seeing now is in Major League Baseball, they're not allowing starters to face the opposing batter's lineup 3 times.
That's just true.
After 2 times around the lineup, they're going to pull the guy and go to the bullpen, which uses up the bullpen.
Yes. Your bullpen's going to be dead by the end of the year. Hey,
by the end of the week.
If the pitcher's got gas in the tank, let him go after the guy. What if he's got 3 different pitches and he mixes them all up? The guy's going, this is my 3rd time. He's going to give me a fastball, and the guy gives him a slider inside and jams him.
Yeah. Well, look, you've got what do you have? You've got list. I'll go the other night, and the Dodgers were playing Arizona the other night.
Yeah.
Okay. They pulled a Ryu out.
Yeah.
4 2/3 innings or something like that,
exactly.
or 5 innings, and then they went to the bullpen, and the game went extra innings.
Of course it did.
It went into the 13th inning, 14th inning.
It did.
Right?
Dodgers, I think Arizona won
and
that
they
game.
lost, but they were having a conversation in the 12th inning. This is 3 extra innings. In the 12th
What's
inning,
left of our bullpen?
It was still tied up, and they were saying, do you think that Chase Utley can pitch?
Is that stupid or what? You're going to see that happen.
I yelled out. I was in my cave. I yelled out, "Bring me in!" But they had conversations all through the last 3 innings about being short on bullpen people and who could they bring in, what position player. And they went down the roster. They said, "You see, who's available now?" They said, "Well, the starters are available. Hill's available, and Wood and Kershaw. All these guys are available. Are we going to bring them in? We're going to burn them up for an extra inning game?"
Yes.
They got big problems. They're going to have to put 20 pitchers on a team.
They are going to have to, and they will do it. And that'll be the rule change next year, where each team can now have 20 pitchers. They'll make that change. You watch. They'll change the number of people you can have on the roster.
Yeah,
they can have 20 pitchers.
They're going to add 4 people to the roster, and they're all going to be pitchers.
And they wonder why games go too long because they're making too many dang pitching changes.
That's it.
You know,
how many times did you have to hear? I saw it in the Oakland Angel game where the guy made 2 comments. He says, "That's the 3rd time that pitcher has had a visitor at the mound. So he's got 3 moves left, and we're only in the 4th inning, ladies and gentlemen." I mean, I don't care how many times the guy goes to the mound to talk to him.
I don't care. Let the catcher go up there.
These are stupid rules made by stupid people. They're they're multimillionaire people who have nothing else to do but to try and reinvigorate the sport and change it and pacify. The networks, when networks say that we've got to speed this game up. Well, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
You have to speed.
Once I fall asleep,
up.
I'm taking my nap. I like it to slow down so I can at least wake up and catch the 7th inning.
On your way out, don't wake me up.
That's right. It's perfectly all right.
Come on.
Besides, if you make the games longer, you can buy more hot dogs and stuff. It means more money for the team. For God's sake,
we want 6-hour games. Is what we want.
Back in the sports lounge, a man who is vying for 6-hour baseball games.
Let's just go to the other way. They keep wanting to cut it down. I think you should add on to it.
That's the one and only Fred Dreyer. I'm Michael Horn. Thanks for joining us in the Sports Lounge each and every week, taking a look at behind the scenes. One final note here, and the fans in the early on in the season, after about a week, saying every Major League Baseball manager is bad at using his bullpen, and they're saying more decisions mean what you're not hearing is that more decisions mean more decisions can be doubted when they're made. But they also people are pointing out it's important to keep in mind the managers typically work with more information, the metrics, whatever, than the fans have about the health and readiness of personnel, and they're also best served that information from the fans and the media. So they're saying the managers have more information. I still don't buy it. I think it's way too many changes and things going on. The metrics should be
you're
thrown
getting
out.
Conversations like against left-handed hitters in the second inning.
Yeah.
This guy hits to the shift, so the shift has to be over here. So you've got one player between third base and second base. You've got one player to cover that whole area in there. Sometimes they even just move everybody over to the right, because Matrix says the guy hits to the right side of the infield.
Listen, if I'm the batter, if I'm Steve Garvey when he used to get his 200 hit seasons, I'm going to work in batting practice on being able to drill one into left field if they're shifting me over to right field. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the other thing now.
I'm ready to go and get my base hit.
Now when a bad brain a relief pitcher from Venezuela, communist country, once he shows up and starts throwing the baseball, it's imperative that he throw to where the defense is played.
Yes, exactly.
And they don't.
And they don't do that. Again, placement is the key. So if you got the shift on, you better make sure you're putting the pitch right there where they're going to hit to that area where your players, where your fielders are.
But they don't do it.
I know. That's a problem.
Yeah, well.
Now, there also one other baseball note. They had opening day in Major League Baseball. Every team was there starting on opening day. The ballparks were full to the brim, and the fans were all excited. There was the boys of summer ready to go.
Ice cream.
And they were taking in a lot of food offerings, getting a taste. But the one thing every ballpark in the league now has is expanded safety netting that runs to the end of the dugouts, because a lot of people have been sitting back there drinking their beer, eating their hot dog, and not watching.
And the ball comes flying in there.
Smacks them with time.
Well, sometimes, they've got little kids, kids who aren't paying attention.
That's right. They say over the course of 3 seasons, from Houston to Atlanta to Pittsburgh and more, they made the change. And this was after a little girl was severely injured at Yankee Stadium last season. So this is probably a good safety rule that they have there. And keep your eyes on the game when you're there too, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly.
Now, we had a guest on our food show, and I want your comments on this, that there will be I think 18 million hot dogs sold at the stadiums this year, and 4.6 million sausages. And Milwaukee is the sausage capital, more sausages than any other ballpark. The Los Angeles Dodgers usually sell more hot dogs than any other team in baseball.
They do?
They do.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just the crowd is there. They have bigger crowds, and they sell the hot dogs. And San Francisco does more on the sausage side. The Dodgers do a lot on the Dodger dog, the extra long.
Those plump Franks?
Parmesan, those extra long Dodger dogs.
But are they plump?
Well, they have the all beef, which is the plump one, and
that's
then
the plump one. Yeah.
The regular Dodger dog, the original, is just chicken cheeks and pork and whatever else they grind up into chicken bones.
Just whatever falls into the hopper.
It's delicious. And we had the guy on from the National Hot Dog Association, and he says once you become an adult, no ketchup on your hot dog. Are you a no ketchup guy?
Well, you got to go mustard.
Exactly.
You have to go mustard.
You got to go mustard, onions, and then some relish. I like the relish.
Relish is good, but it can't be too sweet. Sometimes they put too much sugar in the mix.
That's very true. It's got to be a little more on the dilly side.
So you got to figure it out for yourself. You're at the mercy of the hot dog gods.
You are really, and you're a big non-hot dog fan. But at an occasion, at a ball game, I will see you go for a hot dog.
No, you've never seen me do that.
I never have.
No.
Do you ever eat a hot dog ever? When's the last time you, Fred Dreyer, have had a hot dog?
Let's see. That's a good question.
Think about that.
Well,
but
it was a Dodger game. It was a Dodger game.
It wasn't a ball game.
It was a ball game.
You haven't been to one of my backyard barbecues where I make those nice, Nathan's big, juicy, wonderful, all beef hot dogs, or the Hebrew Nationals. Those are really good.
No,
those are almost a meal.
Yeah, I don't I don't.
What do you mean? No,
I don't bend that way.
You would go for one of these if I made it.
No, they're delicious. They are good.
They are delicious.
But I don't really want to slug one of those things down, boy.
You don't.
They'll follow you around for a couple of days.
Well, yeah, your sodium intake is for the month.
Oh man, are you kidding?
Did you ever see how many is like 1,200 or 1,500 grams of sodium?
Geez, it's just
one of those.
No, your head will absolutely swell up. Your eyes will close. You ever see that? You know, where you eat a nice, you eat a nice Dodger dog, and suddenly you can't see. And you're
watching the game and hey, what happened to this? It get cloudy in here.
Yeah, you'll wonder what the hell happened.
What happened here?
And then your friend will look over at you, and his face is swollen. He'll say, "Isn't this great? Isn't this great?"
Here's some water. We'd like to know your thoughts. Email Fred Dry if you would, please, and then tell him your thoughts on hot dogs.
Or ask Mike, and he's the hot dog guy. I'm not.
Fred Dryer at crntalk.com.
No, ask Mike. Don't ask me.
Fred Dryer at crntalk.com. That'll put it together, and that will do it for you. Yeah,
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, the sodium will get to you.
Oh man, are you kidding?
You do that. You do the hot dog, and then you get one of those batting helmets full of salted tortilla chips with some of that. I think they call it cheese. What kind of cheese is that they put on those nachos?
It's that yellow. I don't know if it's yellow or orange.
It is called yellow orange.
Is it yellow orange?
Yeah.
But it is some sort of whipped, fake, non-food stuff.
It's non-food, but it's
non-food.
It's not drizzled. It is just buried over the chips. You can't find the chips.
It's just buried, and people are slugging it down like you can't even believe.
The reason they do that is because after you've had the hot dog and the sodium cuts out your vision, you got to be able just to reach for the soggy chip.
They actually don't know what they're grabbing for, because their eyes are swollen shut.
Right about that time, that's when the beer guy comes by and say, "Hey, gotta have a beer."
And then you go, "Honey, get me a beer." Wait,
and some peanuts, salted.
Wow.
You get a lot of salt at a ballpark.
Oh, man.
Salt is one of the key ingredients.
Shall we talk about gas?
That's from the onions.
Man.
That's some guy that has overused the onions as a condiment.
Onions and
fake
cheese and fake all kinds of stuff.
I won't sit next to you to dodge a game.
I don't. You should, because I don't eat that stuff. You're the one that does it.
We're back in the sports lounge. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry after today's show, talking about all the great hot dogs there. Are you a Fred Dryer? Just one other thought on food at the stadiums. Are you, if you have the choice, I think I know the answer. If you got to choose one of these two, would it be the hot dog or a hamburger at a ball game?
Well, the hot dog, I don't want the hamburger. It's too heavy.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd go hamburger.
No. You want a hot dog.
Too much sodium.
Because well, what do you think the hot dog is? I mean, what do you think?
Not as much as that hot dog.
Well, either one. I mean, it's death as far as I'm concerned.
You would throw the bun away. It's easier to throw the bun away on the hamburger.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would throw it out. But you know, when I start biting into the hamburger aspect of this,
yeah,
it's not good. You know, it's not good.
But you can see it. The Dodgers we're here in Southern California, so Dodgers or Angel games we go to. But if you go to any ballpark, you can put on that hamburger or the hot dog. They got a lot of different condiments out there. As you get to the Midwest and the East Coast, some of those sausages are pretty good because, you know, that's sausage capital of the world. They chop up that pork.
See, now you're getting into a myriad of different types of textures.
Yes.
These types of things have a tendency to back up on you because they're poisonous.
Well, wait a minute. San Francisco, kind of as an East Coast, I feel to the city, even though it's a beautiful West Coast town. They're big at the sausages. They sell a lot of sausages instead of hot dogs there at the Giants ballpark. Yeah. And they've brought back this year a thing that I don't think you wouldn't go with this. It's a pineapple sausage.
You're not going to you can't do that.
I knew it.
Pineapple.
Tell everybody why. Why don't you have this? Is a Fred Dryer.
That is indigestion plus. That's an asterisk waiting to happen.
You do not believe in eating fruit with a meal. You
Well,
have to
can't.
separate.
You can't. Try it.
4 hours. You want a 4-hour separation between a meal and when you have fruit.
There's so many things that you can eat that will be okay, but one of the things you can't eat is start slugging down a mixture of this crap where it just kind of explodes on you. You eat pineapple coated hamburgers, and then about a half hour later you wonder,
look at you,
what's happening to me?
You got your face is all squirreled up like you just ate some.
Well,
bad
I
something.
even just thinking about.
I know it's so. Here's the deal, though. You say that if you eat fruit, it kicks in your digestive system in your body.
Well, you can't take fruit with meat, with protein.
Because
you can't
it starts
mix
making
it.
you digest, and then you don't
Well,
digest your food.
It doesn't digest.
It throws it out of the system, right?
It kicks it back, and you get all kinds of
Okay.
burping and
Okay.
gas,
All right,
and
okay.
you get all kinds of
You
stuff
don't
that
have to
goes
mention
on.
it all.
No, well, that's what
I
happens.
think you mentioned it putrefies in the body.
Well,
Is
it
that
does.
right?
Well, it rots.
And then,
That's what it does. It rots.
So again, this is a Fred Dreyer. We're not just saying this on the show. He's researched this. He's a sports athlete for years.
Back it up.
You want 4 hours. If you're going to eat fruit, start your day with it. Wait 4 hours and then have a meal.
Well, yes, but when you're going to a ball game, look, you're not going to get away from having a Baby Ruth and then some hot dogs and then some condiments and then ice cream.
It's going to happen.
And then a soda.
Right.
What really kills you is the abstract infusion of different types of foods, like ice cream and then pickles and then onions, and then you swirl around into a terrible relationship with what do they call that stuff? What's the stuff?
Churro. I think it's called a churro.
No. What is the stuff that they have that it's literally non-food?
It's the nachos with that cheese on it.
Well, it's that, but there's another thing in there that's that really.
You're talking about the ice cream when
really,
they do the soft serve kind of stuff over there.
Well, it's got everything in there.
Yeah. So what you're telling us is if we're going to eat right, we should just stay. If we're going to eat hot dogs, you should stay with hot dogs that day at the stadium. You shouldn't go jumping around to other food groups, correct?
Well,
if you had to eat there, if you had to take your nutrition at the ballpark, what would you eat?
That's not the word I'd use, nutrition.
Well, what if you had to eat at the ballpark?
Foodstuffs. Non-food
what would be your non-food stuff that you would eat?
You'd have a hot dog.
Yeah.
With whatever it is. You cut your losses.
Try to not have the bun.
And well, no, you could have a bun. You could have a hot dog. You could have the condiment on it, and you could probably squeeze past a beer, and leave it at that.
Don't keep going with other things.
Don't keep pouring.
Have the ice
don't
cream.
wait 15 minutes and eat a bag of peanuts.
Don't have the malt.
Don't have a malt. Don't have a shake. Don't have
churro. No churro.
Don't start abusing yourself with this crap.
Cotton candy or pop. How about popcorn? Could you get by with some popcorn?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
What's wrong with popcorn?
No, you don't want to do it.
No?
No.
So you just stay with the hot dog.
Well, think about it. Here's what it is. Take all this stuff you've just talked about.
Yes.
And throw it into a bowl. Chew it up, and then spit it out, and then there it is. You have a big bowl of all this stuff
that
you've chewed up and you've
Welcome
spit
to
out.
baseball season, everybody. I know you've been excited about this. Just enjoy it.
You don't want that.
You would go if you had your choice. You'd go to a regular restaurant at the ballpark if you could, right, and get some.
Well, you go to
something.
yeah. Well, you go up and you eat good food. Yeah. Go eat some good food.
You know, so a lot of ballparks now are having like salads and stuff. They do have some restaurants and you can get a good salad.
They can.
You would do that.
I would do that.
Lots of good veggies.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd have a beer, and then I'd have some salmon. I'd have some veggies. I'd have salad. I'd have an artichoke. There's a lot of things you can have that aren't in the hamburger, onion, extremity.
Fart category. Out of that thing, right?
The fart category?
Yeah, it doesn't gas.
You can't
clean it up for the show. You look gas.
It'll explode.
Stay with us. We have more Sports Lounge. Michael Horn, Fred Dreyer. We are back in the Sports Lounge. Yours truly, Michael Horn, the star of our show, Sultan. 2 safeties in 1 game in the same quarter. The all-pro defensive end, the football legend, played for the Giants, briefly was on the Patriots, and then, of course, the great career with the Los Angeles Rams. And the acting superstar from Hunter and all other shows, his movie Highway 395 on his website, freddryer.co. And, of course, the Transformers movie coming up. We're talking about Fred Dryer here. All right, we got other news here today. Let's talk a little bit about, if we can, some football news for you, just because we have to think about that a little bit. Apparently, the NFL is investigating a photo leak of the alleged new uniforms of the Titans. And,
brother.
I know you're interested in this.
Oh, man.
Was released on social media. It's claiming to be a leak of the Tennessee Titans' new navy blue uniforms. And they were set, the Titans were set to unveil their new uniforms, which would feature jersey and helmet changes.
Oh, no.
But there was going to be at a Nashville street party, but it's out already. People have seen it. What do you think of this? Is a problem?
I don't know. I don't even know what the hell it looks like.
It is a problem, though.
What's it look like?
I don't know. I haven't seen it myself. I have to know if it's a leak.
Well, anything that they can get rid of the logo for the team. A fireball, you know, what do they call it? The
lightning
logo,
bolt.
The helmet logo.
Yeah, the logo.
Where, you know, you've got a flaming T. That's what it is.
It's the Titans.
A T, a Titan.
Yeah, Titan.
Well, why don't they have a picture? Why don't they have an emblem of a Titan?
Yeah. That's really ready to go to battle or something, right? Yeah. The photo that they have here showed a Marcus Mariota jersey with a pointed number 8, a navy blue base, accents of Columbia blue on the sides, a red Nike check, shades of gray on the shoulders.
More bad taste.
And some of the players, a few of them have seen the jerseys, including the Titan safety Kevin Byard, and he signed a non-disclosure agreement after they saw him.
He had to sign a non-disclosure?
And now they're...
he had to keep it a secret?
Yeah, and he said, Kevin said these jerseys were to be the talk of the league, and now they're out already.
I'm sure it'll be the talk of the league.
It's going to be the 20th season, and that'll be good. What else do we have for you? The New York Jets wide receiver Robbie Anderson's not facing felony charges. That he was arrested in Sunrise, Florida back in January. According to the online court records, he was charged with a single misdemeanor count of reckless driving last Friday. And according to his records, he's been facing 9 charges, including 2 felonies, fleeing and eluding police with lights and siren active, which was reduced to a misdemeanor charge of reckless driving, and then threatening a public service or a family member. So his arrest in January was the second in an 8-month span. This guy might have some problems.
So how long are we going to let the guy hang around?
I don't know. He was arrested last May at a musical festival in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
He was charged with resisting arrest then. He's awaiting trial. This is something.
How much money does this guy make?
Probably a lot more than you and I.
So
and all of our audience put together.
So it doesn't really make any difference as long as he continues to club, you know, other people, you know, instead of just being a good guy working.
Got to be a good guy.
Work out.
TMZ has reported good old Drew Brees has sued the Vahid Moradi of C.J. Charles Jewelry in San Diego, because Drew claims he purchased roughly $15 million worth of jewelry, and it was independently appraised at being worth $9 million less than the price he paid for the items.
That's a good deal. Buy low, sell high. Is that what he's doing?
That's terrible. All right, if you missed anything, don't forget Fred Dryer's new movie, Highway 395, on his website, freddryer.co, freddryer.co, freddryer.co. Don't forget, follow him on facebook.com/The Real Fred Dryer, his Twitter handle, Fred_Dryer, and always email him, freddryer@crntalk.com. And by the way, you can listen to our past shows, and you can go right to this website for the show here. It's freddryershow.com.
freddryershow.com.
You can watch him on video. You can listen to him and a whole lot more. So jot that down. Keep it close by.
Is that good?
Yeah, freddryershow.com. Remember that one.
Oh, all right.